All right, hey mathematicians, this is part two of your river trail, and I am going to be placing the rest of our little locations on our map here on our timeline, or not timeline, but travel line, what our trail will look like. So yesterday you were supposed to do this on your own, and so now I am showing you where they go. Um, the one that could be difficult is the inner tube rental stations. And I want everybody to see this. So campsites are every third of the trail, right? So every three, if we broke this trail into three equal parts, we would have campsites. Inner tube rental stations are every fourth, shuttle bus stops are every fifth, and picnic areas are at every sixth. So we're getting smaller and smaller. The fractions are getting smaller and smaller as we go. Um, you'll notice the denominator tells us how many campsites or how many locations will be on the map. So we will have three campsites, we'll have four inner tube rental stations, we'll have five shuttle bus stops, and six picnic areas. Now we'll notice campsites, we only have one third and two thirds because we could put a campsite here at the ending, which is three thirds. But if we did that, we would have a lot at the end here for three thirds, or four fourths, or five fifths, or six sixths. So if you did that, fine. If not, it's okay too. So technically, we would have another campsite at the end, but again, we would have an inner tube rental station, shuttle bus stop, and a picnic area all at the end here. It would take up the whole thing. So that's the clue to how many you're going to need on our trail, the denominator. So the inner tube rental station, let's talk about that real quick. So that is um, splitting let me see if I can find the pin here. Let's go like red. So splitting the rental inner tube rental stations into fourths. So remember, a fourth is a half of a half. So I can't split 30. If my trail is 30 kilometers and I want to divide that by four equal pieces, we cannot do that with whole numbers. We can't, four will not go into 30 an equal amount of times. Four times seven is 28, and four times eight is 32. There's nothing in between, but you notice 30 is halfway between the eight and the seven when I multiply. Let me show you. So four, if this So this is telling me if I put a marker at every 7 kilometers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I put one at every seven, I would only get to 28 kilometers. Okay. 7 and 14, 21 and 28. If I put it at every 8 kilometers, 4 times 8 is 32. So if I put it at every eight, here's eight, then that means I would go 8, 16, 24, 32. That's too many. So I need somewhere between 7 and 8. There is a number that we can do that is between 7 and 8, but it's not a whole number. So when I look at my every quarter of the trail, I want to take half of 30, which is 13. So I know I'm going to have one here because two fourths is the same as one half. So two fourths is the same as one half. Okay. Let me just write that. So two fourths is equivalent to one half. So there's my two fourths marker right here in the half part. Two fourths. But I need a one fourth and a three fourths. And then, of course, my four fourths is going to be all the way down here. So I have to figure out what half of 15 is. Half of 15. So remember, we talked about it's going to be between somewhere between the 7 and 8 mark. So here's the 7 kilometers. Here's the 8 kilometers. It's going to be right here in the middle. What number is between 7 and 8? That is half of 15. And I know that if it's 7, well, 7 plus 7 is 14. It's too little. If I say 8, 8 plus 8, it would be 16. That's too much. So I need a number that's right between 7 and 8. It's halfway between 7 and 8. And I think you figured it out. I think you figured out that halfway between 7 and 8 is, oops, I'm going to put that down here, is 7 and a half. Okay, so 7 and a half is halfway between 7 and 8. Let me delete my 7 and 8 so you're not getting confused here. So halfway between 7 and 8 is 7 and a half. Okay, 7 and a half kilometers. I'll put this back. I'll type that in a second. So 7 and a half kilometers is half of 15. So up here, we will have 1/4 of the trail. So 1/4 of the trail is 7 and a half. And we would move, if I wanted to keep that, I would move my rental station right there. So 1/4 of the trail is 7 and a half kilometers. 2/4 of the trail is 15 kilometers. So that's that. And then I need another fourth here. So if a fourth is every 7 and a half, so if I go up 7 and a half, count another 7 and a half, 7 and a half plus 7 and a half is 15. You could also, did you know that we could also say 7 and a half? Sorry, my writing is horrible here. 7 and a half plus 7 and a half is also the same as saying 7.5 plus 7.5. So, or 7 and 5/10. So 5 plus 5 is 10. I'm going to carry my 1 to here. 7 plus 7 is 14. There we go. So 7 and a half plus 7 and a half is 15. Now I need to add another 7 and a half to my 15 to figure out where the 3/4 is. So 15 plus 7 and a half. Do you notice I put my decimal? I put my 5/10 after the 15. That's power of the decimal, everybody. So 15 wholes plus 7 and a half. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry my 1 is 2. So if I go to 22 and a half, that's going to be my 3/4 point. Let me erase that. So that's going to be right on my 22 and a half spot. Sorry, my computer's laggy again. These programs really push my little computer to the limits. Okay, so I need to go to 22. So here's 20. I already have that marked. So I'm going to count to 22 and a half. 21, 22, there's 23. So it's halfway between 22 and 23. So right in this section here, right between the 22 and 20. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm wasting when this happens. It's wasting your time. Come on, please. It just takes forever. Okay. So right between 22 and 23, okay, is 22 and a half. So I'm going to write 22 and a half kilometers. Okay. And there we go again. It's going crazy again. And this would be what? This is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Okay. 3/4. So I'm going to clean this up, but I wanted to show you how that would work with the river inner tube rental stations. Okay. I'm going to clean this up and then I am going to do another video for the rest of them. Let's stop this. Maybe. There we go.